for us. All right. Hello, guys. We are back for another week. This week, we have for you a bonus week. This is actually our 13th week because we gave you a bonus week of our 12-week summer series based upon the book, What Happened to You by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. As you know, through these weeks, 12 weeks, it has just been amazing. Based upon the book, it mesmerized and enlightened the readers, having often been asked the question, what's wrong with you? And because of their phenomenal work, we posed the question, what happened to you? We want to salute our CEO of TDR Brands, Tierra Destiny Reed, for this amazing opportunity of sharing her vision within the When Women Heal community. When Women Heal is a safe community where women are able to connect and they heal and they grow and they become so empowered. Also, on behalf of Tierra, we want to invite you to join our When Women Heal community. Go to Facebook and join the community, and also visit our When Women Heal website at whenwomenheal.com. And for those of you that do not know me, I am Dr. Glenice Harris Wilson, media host for When Women Heal. I am an associate professional counselor, pastoral counselor, and a professional coach, where I am the CEO of Living Connected LLC. Let me just say, I'm so glad that we were able to give you all an additional week. These 12 weeks have been amazing. We've had some really, really, really special sisters that came to us openly, transparent, giving and sharing their story, their narrative of their trauma, their resilience, and their processes of healing. So tonight, guys, it's not going to be any different. We've got one of the most amazing person with us. And you all know, I always go over our sister's bio that's part of the community. And seeing her bio, I know that she's got some amazing things that she's going to be sharing. Of course, Cynthia, for these 12 weeks, we have been going through the book by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry, What Happened to You? And it's all about the conversations of trauma, resilience, and healing. And of course, you know, when you're young and trauma happens, as you grow, you use your mental processes to process what that trauma was like. And people would ask, what's wrong with you? And of course, the way the narrative is given is how you perceive your circumstances, your situations, and the relationship from the trauma that actually starts to reshape your life. But then when we look at the cognitive messaging and we start to look at what happened to you, you start to recall on a different level. Your imagination is on a different level, and how you relate to the stress of that, all is on a different level as to how you clarify what happened to you, and how you behave and why you do the things that you do. So it's been amazing of all of the information we have received in these last 12 weeks. And I can't wait to get your narrative as to how you relate to this amazing book. So as we open, kind of share with me, if I say, Cynthia, what happened to you in relations to the book of trauma, resilience, and healing? What would you like to share with me?
So, for me, that ties into what have you overcome? What have you worked through? And just, I know at a young age, just feeling as though I did not matter. That was the biggest thing, as though I was just there. Um, and because of that happening, it made me feel as though I wasn't important. And sometimes I would struggle with feeling, you know, um, double-minded, unsure, unsettled, no confidence for real in my abilities, coming from a place of, no affirming, no reassurance. I felt all over the place. It's hard to define yourself when you don't have a foundation of who you are. You see people around you and what they're doing, but to have that personal touch, that intimate um, assurance, and just that feeling of wanting to be wanted, that happened to me, and it caused me to struggle with feeling wanted, feeling as though I mattered, what I bring to the table, my gifts that I offer, that they matter. There's definitely have been some conflict between, God and I. If I matter so much, why do I feel so disconnected? And so those are just a few things. And it caused me to struggle with wanting to be here on this earth. Like, I never felt suicidal, but I just always questioned, why am I here if the people that you sent me here to do not value me? They do not take the time to make sure that I know that I am loved.
When you say you felt like you didn't matter to whom?
I felt like I didn't matter to anyone. Like, um, thinking back to just the childhood home, I don't remember like the affection or the conversations, even as I was going through my teenage years. I don't recall, like, your mind is everywhere in that phase of life, and you really are unsure of yourself. I don't recall being able to have that safe place to go and have conversations about concerns or my complexities that I have with my identity, my size, and things like that. So it was just like, you're here, and just not feeling important,
Mhm.
not feeling important.
At what age did you recognize you had this feeling and it didn't feel normal?
I would say at around the age 12.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started having this recurring dream of these men. They would break into my childhood home and they would shoot me. And what I remember from the dream was no one was ever there. No one was ever there to protect me. No one was ever there to stop them from doing what they were doing. No one was ever there. I was always home alone. And about maybe the third time that I had that dream, I started to connect that with, that's how I feel in the waking life. When I was bullied in school, it was really not much conversation as far as how to handle it, how I'm feeling emotionally about it, the fears that I have about going to school. It was just no conversation. It was nothing, that gave me what I needed to be a strong, confident young girl.
So kind of help us understand. I hear what you're saying. You felt you needed. I needed to feel supported.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to feel the affection. Kind of take us back down memory lane of that little girl, and as to who was in the house and what the atmosphere of the home was like.
So I grew up in a home where it was my grandparents, my mom, a lot of her siblings were there. My mom was a young mom. She had me at 16. My grandmother was a young mom. She had her first child at 15. My grandmother and my grandfather, they were pastors of a church. And so it was a lot of activity, but not a lot of connection, there. We My grandfather, he tried to make it kind of normal. He would do certain things, like we would um, clean up the house and earn money to do that, or oil his head, and he would pay us money for that. But as far as like the conversations, it was really not much conversation, as when I look at how I am as a parent, and it could come from that longing of not getting that, but I made a decision that I'm going to make sure my children know that I love them, because I'm going to tell them, no matter what you do, I will never stop loving you. I kissed them. There was not affection as far as hugs and kisses. It was just, you were just there. You were just there. And on the outside looking in, it may look normal. You have all these people, oh, they must be close. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that.
When you stop and think about it, with your grandparent, your grandmother being a teenage mom, your mom being a teenage mom, um, it's not many of us that really know what true love is at 15, 16 years old. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel as though maybe, what's your thoughts behind wondering, did they ever really know what love truly was? Did they really ever know or learn how to help people to understand that they do matter? Did they really ever learn how do you connect to people within your home? Do we really know how to allow ourselves to open up
Mm-hmm.
for us to for our daughter or granddaughter to know how to come to us and share what it is that she really need from us? Is it
Mm-hmm.
that maybe they just didn't know?
Yeah, there was a season where, I was very angry, felt very cheated, and God had me go through a process of being able to have compassion
Mhm.
and see things from a different perspective, because I didn't want to be a victim. Like when you're a victim and you constantly stay in that place, you're powerless and you are allowing your power to be taken away. And that was something that I did not want. The confusion for me was the serving to other people in the church. You have the capacity to
Mhm.
be loving, to be kind, to show concern. Why does it stop here? Or, it's not really visible here. But I do have an understanding that there was a lot, things are not just black and white. That was one of the things that I got from the experience. And there was a lot to manage, mentally, for my mother and my grandmother. And so having understood that, it helps you not take it personal so much, and as we progress through the years, my grandmother and I, we were very close, very close. God allowed me to be able to pray for her as she transitioned out of this life and be there with her, when she took her last breath. She was always affectionate. It just felt like with my mom, and maybe it was just a teen mom thing, it was just hard for her, But I know that as a woman, I'll say this, we have a vision, of how we want our lives to go. And it could have been that being a teen mom, that was just not her vision. And it was hard for her to probably, connect with that. She provided, she made sure we ate and had a place to sleep and things like that. Um, but she probably wasn't mentally available or emotionally available to give us that emotional support. And so I've come to a place where I still struggle from time to time, but I understand and I take that on and I give it to God, and He helps me and heals me and, delivers me from that.
Were you able ever to have a conversation with them to say, and maybe not these exact words, but give them an indication, hey, I need you. I need you to say, I love you. I need you to say that I'm valuable, or I need you guys to say that, you're wanted here. Did you ever seek their attention to give you that warm embrace?
Yeah, I would say yeah. With my, like I said, with my grandmother, it was different. With having that conversation with my mom was challenging because there was a spirit of offense. It wasn't received well, and so for me, it just was very uncomfortable to have that conversation. So I just found other ways to express that, through poetry and just stillness and quietness. But yeah, I did, and it left me feeling even more disconnected in some way because at some point you just have to recognize that this is just how this person is and this is just who they are. And so you celebrate and you be grateful for what you can get, and look for ways to see how they do show affection, how they do express love to you. So that's what I had to learn.
A few minutes ago, you mentioned I was sort of confused. I saw this in the church. I saw them extend the love and the compassion and everything that we see among the church family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever say to them, I'm seeing you guys love everybody in church, but I don't feel like I'm getting what I'm seeing you give?
No, in the era I grew up in, you don't talk like that. you're there, you be seen, not heard,
You go along,
and
go along.
go along. Yeah. Yeah. So no, not ever at any point did I ever share those feelings. No.
What about friends? Did you have any friendships that you saw among your peers that had what you wanted in your family?
Yes. Yes. So I had a neighbor, and she was a single mom, she had 3 kids, and I was friends with the oldest daughter, and their home just always seemed alive. Their shelves always seemed stocked with food. They always had variety. Family was over there. And I so long for that. It just, they seemed like they just had it together, cook meals, and they would cook together. And the mom, she seemed to really take an interest, in her children's lives. And so I spent a lot of time over there, to just soak that up, just to soak that up. But when you look deeper in things, you'll see that, like I said, everything is not black and white. You see something with, your natural eye, but when you begin to peel back the layers, you begin to see more than you probably wanted to see. And so it just helped, being in that environment, it helped me to see that everything is not as it is. There are so many reasons behind why a thing may be the way it is. And what I was doing for a long time was I was taking what I was experiencing personal. I mean, I didn't know any other way but to take it personal. Oh, it must be something wrong with me. Oh, I must be unlovable. Oh, this or that. But as I gradually began to strengthen my relationship with heaven, I began to develop a little bit of self-love where I could go and to a reservoir within and pull out what I needed when I felt scared or alone or afraid. I could go within and have those conversations with myself and still, move forward.
Mm-hmm. kind of give me a description of how did this really affect you? What is it about you at the time that you recognize your behaviors or your thoughts was connected to the lack thereof of what you wasn't getting?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh my God, like relationships. I would allow myself to be in relationship with people that did not know how to value things. Mm-hmm. And because it was, I was used to it, I always felt that another thing was I always felt that I had to work for the affection. I had to go above and beyond, to be seen. And so it played out in that. It played out in schooling. I did a lot of things in school. And even in my adult life, I've achieved things. And I, just here recently felt like, are you achieving those things so that someone can say, oh, that's really great. You did, you did this or you did that. It played out in that, and just my faith, and so when you talk about, God being our father and my father being absent, I know what the word says about God being a father and what a father is supposed to be, but it was hard to connect with that piece of how we describe God, a father, so those were some of the ways that it showed up, and not being able to really trust people. What are your motives behind why you're doing what you're doing? What do you want from me? So that's how it kind of showed up in my life.
Did you ever connect with your father?
As much as I could, I'll say that. I've come to a place where acceptance, when you can accept a person, an experience for what it is, and let go of the personal, how you're taking it personal, then there's freedom there. So with him, we've connected, but he's just going to be who he is. And I accept that. And I don't take it now as, oh, it's something wrong with you, or you're not worth his time investment, or you're not worth this or that. It's just, this is the way he is. And so I've stopped chasing him and trying to get him to see me. And it was so ironic. Just a few weeks ago, he just called out of the blue and just said, I love you. I'm the one that's really more forgiving and will give you chance after chance after chance. So yeah, I love him. And if he calls, I'll talk to him. I'll pray for him. But I'm not going to do all of the work to build. It has to be shared.
We have this thing where we forgive. However, it happened, and you just don't forget. You just don't. Yeah. You can't always just take an eraser and erase something off of your cognitive mindset, right? You can't always just act like it did not happen.
Right.
But you can have that forgiving heart, because one thing about it, God requires us to forgive.
Yes.
How often do you think about the trauma behind this?
To be honest, I would say quite a bit, but not in the way of woe is me. I think about it in a way of how far I've come. I've done a lot of healing, inner healing work. I've allowed God to do a lot of inner healing work. And I think about, my future. And so I know that in order for me to experience life in the way that I want to experience, I have to keep facing it. You can't run from it. You have to face what it is that you're dealing with. And so I deal with it every day. This is what you've experienced, but look at who you are. Look at how strong you are. And on those days where I'm feeling really afraid, I do the thing that scares me the most. I face it, because I don't want to stay stuck, so I think about it.
What's some of the things that you're afraid of?
Not measuring up, um, you know, that people have, that's this whole trust thing. Sometimes it just really gets to me. You know, can I really trust people? Like I struggle with like just laying down my heart and just this person is good. You know, I can trust them. They'll be okay. There's still a part of me that just try to hold it all together, and that's exhausting.
What is it you're trying to hold together?
Just it all. My mind. So let's say, you know, my business, Dare to Dream. You know, I've been asking God for a team for the longest, and I had to just really have this conversation with myself. Is it you that's preventing a team from coming because you don't trust, or is it the fact that it's just not time? You know, that's one of the conflicts. So or one of the questions, I won't say conflict. So in the business, I'm doing everything right now. I'm social media management. I'm advertising. I'm this or that. You know, I'm doing everything. I'm writing content. I show up to teach the courses. I show up to teach the clients. I'm managing the website, and that's a lot. That's a lot. So what I see is, and how God is helping me, there's a struggle sometimes to ask for help. Now, it's not all the time, it's just some of the time. And the struggle that I have with that is because it's like, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to be able to do it. You're supposed to be able to figure it out. But the more I face these thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, the trauma, I'm accepting that no, you're not supposed to be able to handle everything. And it's strong to reach out and get support. You don't have to be superwoman. You don't have to prove to yourself that you can do this or that. God gave you the vision because he wants to bring it forth through you, but you do need support, you know, and not feeling supported, I struggle with asking for support. Yeah.
What do you feel the triggers are, though? You mentioned earlier that, you know, it shows up in different ways, but how do you think you're being triggered by the trauma of all of this? You know, triggers come in different ways. A trigger can come by somebody looking like somebody who's traumatized you. Triggers can come because someone may have on a particular color because that person had on that color. Trigger can come by the smell of food. Oh, that smells just like the place we used to go to all the time. So how do you feel, how do you think that you're being triggered?
Oh my God, your questions are like so spot on. So because I just recently dealt with these things. So I have two little people that God has entrusted to my care, and I have to work. And so they stay with my mom. Whenever someone starts to complain, you know, about something, that's a trigger for me, especially something that I'm involved in. So it was, you know, I'd be tired, and, you know, I'm used to doing this and that, and these slow me down. And it's like, I can't get comfortable. Like, it's like, okay, that support is getting ready to be snatched away. It's a trigger. It makes me frantic. It's like, okay, so now I got to find a solution, you know, to fix something that's been going on for several weeks. But now it's like, it's so urgent where I have to do something about it. I remember when they were in school and they had to do virtual, and I had, you know, I have to go to work. So she was helping with them, and the frustration, whenever someone gets frustrated with something that's involving me, like that child in me still will sometimes go to this place of, oh my God, it's my fault. What did I do? What do I need to do different? You know, I've gotten much stronger. I don't want to paint this picture that I'm just falling all over, you know, and I don't have any strength or anything like that. But it's those types of things. If you huff and puff, if I ask you to do something like it, if you show any sign that it's an inconvenience for you, it just makes me just go within and just, I'll figure it out, you
Because
know.
once again, go back to, do I matter? Am I important? And all these things start to happen. So in the midst of all of that happening, and you recognize what's going on, what do you do with it in that short moment?
I am very honest with God. God, you see where I'm at. You see what I need. You know what I need. Help my emotions to be calm. I just instantly go into prayer for myself. There's nothing that I can do about this situation to change it, to change the need that I have at this moment. God, you know me. You know that I would do whatever someone needs if it's in my capacity to do it. You know, Lord, I need you to move in this situation, calm my heart down. God, help them to see things from a different perspective, help them to hold on. I just go into prayer, because the reckless behavior of eating or, you know, just unhealthy things, when you get done with that, you still have to come back and deal with the situation. So that's how I handle it. I just pray about it.
I noticed you're coaching, your coaching title, so to speak, is Rise and Win. But when we look at people that have been traumatized,
Mm-hmm.
and God gives us vision, and God gives us opportunity, and God gives us skills and ability to exercise in that manner. But when you have been traumatized, um, and sometimes people are so blinded by their trauma, and that's what we were talking about earlier, when you start to try to get the perception of your trauma and start putting your own image and getting your narrative of what happened to you. But when you are so blinded by the trauma, how can people see vision?
That's a great question. I mean, it's really hard you have to be, one of the things that I learned to as a pathway to my healing was vulnerability. I had to be able to be vulnerable with God and tell God all of my heart, tell God all of where it hurts and where I feel shorted, all of that. And then when I was able to give that to God, God was able to begin to transcend these wounds and begin to heal on a deeper level. And God has always given me resilience, just to be able to take what I'm going through, learn from it, and apply it and keep moving. And so when you don't honor yourself enough to be honest about what you've been through, how it impacted you negatively and positively, it's hard to create a vision for your life, moving forward. And that's one of the things that I enjoy supporting women with, creating a vision, making sure that their vision has full expression in their life so that they can wake up to a life that they love waking up to every day, despite the demons, despite the chatter in their mind. They have the tools to manage those things that are playing in the back of their minds, those questions that they have about themselves. It don't just stop there, and that's what I learned from me. It just didn't stop there. Okay, this happened, yes, but it doesn't stop here because I wanted more. I always felt like there was more to life than what I was experiencing. And so it required me to go to the valleys, the deep, dark places within.
And, so often we find people down in the pit. We find them in the valley where they see no possibilities. So Cynthia, if a person have not gone through healing, tell me, how is it that they're able to proceed with vision? They might be able to see a vision, but if they haven't gone through healing, can they really proceed forth with that vision?
Well, I'll say this. You can proceed forward. However, you have to do the work on the journey while you're proceeding forward. Am I completely 100% healed? No. But I know the magnitude and the effect that I have on lives, when I'm coaching and I'm teaching classes. when I recognize a trigger or I see a behavior pattern wanting to come back up that I have ended, I do my work. I do my work. I pray, I fast, I seek spiritual guidance myself. I study, the scriptures. I don't just stay stuck there. So your vision first has to be to be whole, to be healed, to stay the course when it feels uncomfortable. So you may not have this grandiose vision that you can put into action right away, but your smaller vision is to be a better version of yourself. So yeah, I think that you can proceed towards your vision. You can define a vision in your brokenness. You can walk out your vision in your brokenness. And while you're doing that, God can heal you. And then the vision changes. It gets bigger. It goes deeper. So yeah, I do. Yeah.
So I understand your trauma. I understand your resilience, but tell me, what about your healing journey? What was that like?
Oh my God. It was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of crying out. I had to put my fears aside of being judged by other people and cry to other people. My first ladies of all the churches that I've been a member of, they have been very instrumental in my healing. My pastors, they have just listening and offering that spiritual guidance. And then God took me on a path of deeper spiritual work. So you have the church and Christianity and religion, but there's deeper spiritual work. And God led me on a path to that. And I've had some amazing coaches, that have allowed me to uproot belief systems and paradigms and be able to plant new, belief systems and paradigms so that I can experience different results. So I'm a fervent believer in fasting. So I've done 7-day fast, 21-day fast, whatever it took to break the hold that was on me. I did it. And I live by my favorite scripture, Psalms 34:4, where, you can go to the Lord and tell the Lord all your fears and he will deliver you from them all. I let go of the shame that I felt. I had no control over, what was happening back then. And so I let go of the shame and I started just seeing myself as a beautiful person, despite what I didn't get and what I did receive.
What was the shame in all of that?
Your mind just begins to make up stories when you go through certain things. It's like, something's wrong with me. That's why they couldn't love me. It has to be something that I did, or, and there was an experience of molestation that took place. And there was a lot of shame and guilt surrounded with that. And I couldn't tell anyone. Can you imagine holding that in? It happened for about 6 years. And I remember coming back to live with my grandparents and I was about 18 and the person, tried to do that again. And I'm like, no, and it was at that point when I told someone, but holding
the molestation took place.
I was like 12, between 10 and 12, so it was some years, that it happened, but I never, that trust factor never gave me the comfort or the courage. I just didn't trust the environment to tell and to, expect someone to do or care. I don't know how they would have responded, but when you make up things in your mind, you believe them. And so I just learned to cope and deal with stuff on my own. And so now,
the molestation that occurred, though, did you ever have nightmares about the event of molestation?
No, I wouldn't say nightmares. I just felt very embarrassed. And I'm going to say this, it's uncomfortable, but I'm going to say it because it might free somebody else. Mm-hmm. During that experience, I longed for love. So I did not mind it. Mm-hmm. And as I grew, the shame came about because it's like, what kind of person are you to not mind something like that, and that guilt. And so, it showed up in different ways in my life. And so, yeah, so no nightmares.
You didn't see it so wrong because you felt like
somebody's paying attention to me. Somebody cares. Somebody wants me. Somebody sees some value in me, no matter how wrong it was.
Yeah, and I feel important to this person.
Yes. Yeah.
Not realizing it, they're causing more harm than good. But in the moment, just in that moment. Now, when you ran across this person again after, at the age of 18, did you try to not have any interaction with this person?
Well, I couldn't avoid them because we both were there. We were both living in my grandparents' home. But I did stand up and say, no, no, this is not what's going to happen. And some years later, we talked about it. I spoke to him, and he apologized. He said, I didn't know what I was doing. I was hurting too, and I, when you come up, when you're not taught about your body, you're not taught about different things, we come from that era where you see somebody naked, ill, and it's nothing wrong with your naked body, but you just didn't talk about those types of things. But we talked about it in our 20s, and he asked me to forgive him, and and we have a really good relationship. It wasn't personal, it was just he was crying out, I was crying out, and that was a result of us both crying out.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times when people are traumatized, and even if they're healed, they don't always dream again. They just live life.
Yeah. How
do you find ways to help people to dream again?
Oh, that's a great one. I just remind them that they were created for a purpose, and everything that they've suffered through, overcame, lived through, it's all for definition. You're going to go through things because you have to be qualified. Who God calls, he qualifies, and so I look at my life. If I hadn't experienced the things that I experienced, I wouldn't have the depth of the range to reach certain women in certain situations. And so I just encourage women, men, if you're still breathing, you still have purpose. You still have purpose. And what you have to learn to do, what I learned to do was I had to trust again. Trust is tough sometimes, but I even had to learn how to trust God. You have to be willing to trust again. And it's just a decision that you make. You can stay in your agony. You can stay in your woe is me. You can stay in your pity parties, and you may have validation. You may have a good reason as to why you should, but is it bringing you joy every day? Is it making you want to get out of the bed and interact with the life that you have? If it's not, then you need to make a decision and change the course of your life.
Cynthia, how does understanding your dreams, a person that have been traumatized, and we hear so much about molestation when we talk about trauma, we hear so much about abandonment when we talk about trauma. When a person has been traumatized, how do you use dreams to understand and move beyond trauma?
Oh, that's a great question. So our dreams, they come loaded with a lot of information. And so all of the things that we experience from birth all the way up until now, it's recorded. It's recorded in our minds. It's still there. And so, when you're going through life and you come across a situation, so I can just use myself, in my 20s, I had that dream about someone shooting me up again. I was in a car, this time, not in a house, and there were other people around. They were trying to help, but there wasn't much that they can do. Your dreams help you understand when you're reverting back to a place that you thought you had overcome. Our dreams help us to understand where we're stuck. Our dreams help us to understand how God speaks to us, the patterns that we have in our life, and what we need to do to move through them. You know, it helps us to understand ourselves. And so when you pay attention to your dreams, sometimes you don't get things in your waking life. You can't understand them. You can't process them. But when God gets you in a sleeping state and begins to speak to you, and you keep track of your dreams, you can see the correlation between experiences in your waking life and this dream. And all of, you know, the things that are recorded in our subconscious mind, they are symbols. And we can use those symbols to help us put the puzzle pieces together. Okay, when I'm feeling like this, I dream this. Or when I'm longing for this, I dream this. You know, so they're very powerful, very powerful.
What role does your beliefs play in your life now?
My beliefs in what?
In who you are.
Oh, they play a big role. You know, I know that I'm here to serve. I know that I'm here to use my gift to support others with understanding their dreams. And so I do that, you know, even when I feel that things are not working out the way that I feel that they should, or they're not in the timing that I think that they should be, you know, I still use what God has given me to be a blessing to other people. So yeah, that's how I do.
If people are dreaming and then they're lacking faith and then they're dealing with what happened to them, I'm dealing with what happened to me, I'm having these dreams, how am I supposed to have faith? How does all three of these intersect?
You have to seek support. You know, some, like with me, I couldn't do it all. I had to reach outside of myself to get support, get wisdom from older people, guidance, you know, from people that have been through things, you know. And so you have to be able to reach out and get support from other people. And I'm sorry, I need my charger, and so I'm gonna get my charger. But yeah, you have to be willing to reach out and get support from other people. Because if you don't, you're going to die. You're going to die in where you are. You're going to die in what you're experiencing, and not just a physical death, but a spiritual death.
Well, Cynthia, the thing is, we're going to be wrapping up shortly. One of the things I want you to give me a second explanation on what does it mean to rise and win, if all of this has happened to you.
To rise and win means to release internal struggles effortlessly so that you can walk in newness. That's what it means. Yeah. Yeah. To walk in newness. And so being willing to face those things and give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay. To be able to walk in, face what you've dealt with and release it, you know, the internal conflict, acknowledge it, and in an effective way, getting the support that you need, that's going to afford you the ability to walk in newness, you know, walk in a new mindset, walk in a new life, walk in new life experiences, have wholesome relationships with others, with yourself. That's what it's going to afford you to do. You get to change the narrative. You don't have to be a victim. You can still have wounds, but still be a winner, you know, even with what you're facing. So yeah. So that's what it means. You know, when I say rise and win, you get to walk in newness, you know, when you release those internal struggles. And every day, and I'm so sorry, every day I do it every day. You know, when I see myself struggling with something, I do it, you know, and I'm honest and I'm transparent with God about what I need. from God. And okay, I don't know. So I'm sorry. I hate to.
That's okay. I'm just wanting to look into more of how symbolic what dreams are based upon what happened to people. There's so much that go through when people are on their journey. And I think Cynthia had some technical difficulties, guys, but we want to just take a moment just to give Cynthia our thanks and just appreciation for her coming on and sharing all that she was able to share with us. We're grateful for her knowledge and her expertise in dream interpretation, as well as knowing how do we connect our dreams to our everyday lives, and how do we connect those dreams to our vision, and how do we grow and expand beyond our trauma. This has been another bonus week, guys. This has been another moment of good content, good wisdom, right? That we've been able to share in the book of What Happened to You. I am so grateful to Tierra Destiny Reed for, number one, allowing me this opportunity to be the media host for the When Women Heal community through these 12 plus our bonus week. Her platform has been amazing. Thank you so much to my sisters for really, really being supportive these 12 weeks. You all have been absolutely amazing. Thank you to Tanisha Carroll for being my backbone, my sidekick, and learning so much from she and Tierra. Guys, continue to grow, continue to be all that you can be. Continue to embrace your newness, continue to embrace who God has called you to be, and walk in the fullness of your truth. Take care. And once again, it's been great. We will talk to you soon, I'm sure, in our When Women Heal community. Good night.